When you said that this storm made landfall more than 10 hours ago, and it's still posing a significant threat to parts of Louisiana and now Arkansas.
Right. I mean, that lets you know what kind of a ferocious storm we were starting with. For it to be able to survive on land for 10 hours and hold a hurricane status that entire time is just unbelievable. Because, of course, we know that the warm Gulf water, that is what it feeds off of. And without that for 10 hours, it's still been able to sustain itself in some degree. Now, of course, as we watch that track the past 24 hours, making landfall after midnight as that Category 4, 150-mile-per-hour winds. Watch it through Louisiana, though. It stayed a Category 2 for a good portion of the morning. And then, of course, now we're talking about that Category 1. So it is impressive as we have watched that radar loop and the evolution of this storm as it has stayed very strong. Some numbers. These reports will continue to come in, but this is just to get us started. Reports on the winds, which have been a huge part of the story. Those wind gusts up to 137-mile-per-hour winds there from downtown Lake Charles. That is the equivalent to an EF3 tornado. An EF3 tornado. We had one, of course, last fall in Dallas. We know what kind of damage that can do, and that is equivalent to that. Lake Charles regional, just around 134-mile-per-hour winds. Port Arthur, Texas, closer to 75. So as we look at some of these observed numbers from the morning, they were still awfully strong, even 5, 6 o'clock as that storm was weakening. We still had 60-mile-per-hour or so wind gusts reported throughout the state of Louisiana. And then some of that wrapping around, but certainly not quite as strong around East Texas. We're still seeing some of that rain wrap around, that moisture feeding in from the Gulf, and this storm system moving towards the Louisiana-Arkansas state line. There are still warnings out, believe it or not. We're still talking about the winds that could pick up, the tropical force winds of up to 40 miles per hour, which is the reason that tropical storm warning does stretch up into places even like Little Rock, at least about half of Arkansas bracing for those winds. So here's where we go from here. Category 1 storm, it is 50 miles southeast of Shreveport right now, those 75-mile-per-hour maximum sustained winds. It'll continue to weaken, of course, as it does move off to the north, and then we'll follow it as it does track northeast eventually the next 48 hours. Rainfall with this, we've been watching it to see what are the impacts here locally. We know that the impacts overall pretty minimal, and we're watching eastern counties through the rest of this afternoon and early evening. Some of this western fringe could wrap around and at least impact places like Paris, Sulphur Springs, back around Tyler, perhaps some scattered showers and storms for you. Overall, though, we miss any widespread rain. In fact, it's already up in Arkansas as we get into the late night period tonight, and then pushing back out through the Midwest once we wake up on Friday. For us, considering that we don't have the good rain chances, we don't have the good cloud cover moving on, it's about to turn very, very hot. Back to summer, 101 for Friday and Saturday. We're likely talking about some type of heat advisory as we head into the weekend. So just keep that in mind, the heat index topping 105 as we head towards a very summery forecast for this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's a bit of relief early next week, Karen, and we are going to see some storm chances both Monday night and into Tuesday as well.